How do you go from being in debt to achieving financial freedom? Let's say you have 10 friends. Each of them lends you 1 million. Instantly, you're holding 10 million in your hands. Even if all you do is invest that money at a stable 5% annual return, you're still earning 500,000 in passive income. Eventually, you can repay what you borrowed with a little extra interest for your friends. Sounds ridiculous, right? But here's the truth. The world is full of money-making opportunities, and at the core of most of them is debt. Yes, the very thing you think is dangerous or foolish is the same thing the wealthy use to get richer. Let me ask you this. Is there a single rich person without debt? We don't even have to talk about individuals. Look at nations. Can you name one developed country that isn't burdened with massive debt? Have you noticed something? The wealthier a person or country is, the more debt they carry. Why? Because money and smart debt management are deeply connected. Learning to use debt wisely is a skill we must master. Not only can it rapidly multiply your assets, but more importantly, it can save your life in times of crisis. If you've never borrowed money and you don't even think about who around you might lend you some, then what will you do when your family suddenly needs emergency medical funds, but your bank account is empty? Do you think talent alone will get you a loan? If you are really that talented, why doesn't your bank account have 8 digits in USD already? People often say debt is risky, but who told you that? Your teacher, your parents. Someone who's never studied borrowing telling you debt is dangerous is like someone who's never driven a car warning you how dangerous driving is. The truth is, most risk comes from ignorance. When you try something without learning about it first, yes, it's risky, but today I'll definitely teach my kids how to drive. And I'll also teach them how to borrow money. Because if you don't know how to drive, then even a Ferrari is useless. And if you don't know how to use debt, then even if your family leaves you a fortune, it means nothing. I was taught from a young age, don't lend money and don't borrow money. So I grew up thinking debt was just another expense, something that drains you, especially when you have nothing. Who would lend you anything, right? I thought just not owing anyone was already an achievement. Because of that mindset, I always saw myself as a bit foolish. I started from zero, launched my own business to earn my first bit of capital. Then I invested in stocks to grow that capital. Only after that did I enter the business world. I never borrowed money, not once, and I never even considered it. Why? Because in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it said, buy assets and avoid liabilities. Back then, I read the English version and followed it word for word, without really understanding what it meant. Later, when I read it again, along with other materials, I realized I had misunderstood everything. The author never said to avoid all debt. He said, avoid bad debt, leverage good debt. That realization changed everything. Today, I owe money to the bank, and my debt keeps growing, but I sleep better than anyone because I have many keys, assets, employees helping with work, and people who love and support me, including you. No one has ever chased me for repayment. In fact, my lenders wish me even more success. Learning how to borrow money is a skill anyone who wants success must have. In the past, my thinking was boxed in by scarcity and fear. That fear made me miss countless opportunities to grow wealth. And I don't want my followers to repeat the same mistake. To live with a poor mindset and without the ambition to conquer the world. So if you've watched this video until now, you will understand what good debt truly means. More importantly, you'll learn how to use it to reach real financial freedom. There are courses out there that cost tens of thousands of dollars, but today, I'm giving you something even more valuable. For free. If you don't support this, and I stop doing it one day, maybe no one else will share this knowledge again. I created this channel to share a wealth mindset with future entrepreneurs, to help people invest and understand how the rich truly manage their money. If you don't want to miss out on these insights, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. Why were we taught that being debt-free is freedom? Since we were young, we've been told that debt is a burden, that saving money is the safest path, and that starting a business is far too risky. But why do most people believe that? It's simple. Back in the day, starting a business meant building a factory, like what Li Ka-shing did. Most people borrowed money from friends and family to get started, then used that money to build factories, buy equipment, and hire workers. The fear was, what if the factory doesn't make money? Then the debt couldn't be paid back. Creditors would come knocking, and the entire neighborhood would know. It was shameful. So people concluded that saving was safe and entrepreneurship was just a dream. Ask yourself, how do you feel when someone owes you money? Or when you owe someone money? Probably uncomfortable or even sleepless. That's how I used to feel. But here's the truth. Employees are the true creditors of their bosses. Why? Because employees deposit their money into the bank. Entrepreneurs borrow that money from the bank to start businesses. We use those funds to build factories, hire those very same employees, and generate profit. When we earn profit, we borrow even more to scale up, and the cycle continues. In the end, the profits belong to us, and employees' wages go right back into the bank, ready to be borrowed again. So is entrepreneurship risky? We often see companies go bankrupt. Why? Because they took on too much debt they couldn't repay. The company gets liquidated, but what about the owners? They still live in mansions and drive luxury cars. Why? Because company assets and personal assets are completely separate. They own nothing personally. Look at the 2008 financial crisis. Lehman Brothers and Wall Street giants collapsed. Do you think those top executives are now broke and starving? Not at all. Before the collapse, they paid themselves massive bonuses. Afterward, they even received government bailouts. So tell me again, how risky is borrowing money really? During the crisis, many Americans went bankrupt. Some even took their own lives. But the capitalists, they remained calm. They bundled toxic debt and sold it to other countries. The entire world bought U.S. bonds, and not long after, the U.S. economy recovered, stronger than before. Now, how much debt does the U.S. have? Nobody really knows. The number's too massive. By traditional logic, the U.S. should have collapsed long ago, but they're still dominating the world. With a snap of their fingers, they can send the entire global economy into a recession, causing asset prices to crash. And what do they do then? They raise the value of the U.S. dollar they previously borrowed and buy up global assets at a discount. Then they expand credit, push asset prices back up, and devalue the dollar again. Why? Because they have debt. If they originally owed $1 billion and now the dollar loses half its value, they only need $500 million in today's money to repay that debt. That's financial power. Every time they print more money, they create more debt. So why are you afraid of debt when the U.S. Federal Reserve is printing money like crazy? Saving is the biggest scam ever invented by banks. Forget inflation for a moment. Just look at the numbers. You deposit 1 million Vietnamese dong into a bank, and you get 20,000 Vietnamese dong interest a year. But someone who borrows 1 million Vietnamese dong might pay 100,000 Vietnamese dong in interest. You think the bank earns an 80,000 Vietnamese dong spread? No, they earn 480,000. How? Financial leverage. Let me explain. You borrow $1 million to buy a house. The bank doesn't hand you cash. They just transfer $1 million to the seller's account. The seller sees the money in their account and gives you the house. But the money, it never left the banking system. Now imagine the bank does this 50 times and earns $100,000 in interest from each. That's $5 million in revenue. And what do they pay you, the saver? Just $20,000 in total interest. That's how the banking system works. They borrow money from the people, pay tiny interest, and earn millions from it. Financial leverage is a must-have skill of the wealthy. It's the secret to making in a month what others can't in a lifetime. So why don't most people get rich? It's just like trying to lose weight. In the summer, you want to slim down to wear short skirts. But come winter, thick clothes hide everything, so you give up. The same cycle repeats year after year. No plan, no commitment. But today, if you're watching this, let me tell you, not making money is no longer an option. Just like not losing weight isn't either, because your money keeps losing value and your weight keeps rising. So what's the biggest challenge in making money? Say you start a business, but you have no customers. You still have to pay rent, staff, inventory, whether or not there's revenue. So is it worth your time, money, and effort? That's why you must learn how to borrow. Whoever told you, open a store where the crowds are, forgot to mention that comes with high rent. But there's a street called YouTube where 2.4 billion people walk by every day. And opening a store there costs nothing. If just 10,000 of those people spend $100 on your product or service, you've just made $1 million. 20 years ago, we shopped in physical stores or malls, but now everyone shops online. So why should you start a business and seize this moment? Because if you want to make money today, the truth is you don't have many options. Most investments or business ventures have high financial barriers. You either borrow money or you borrow people's time and attention and then convert that into income. You might ask, but I don't know business. I know nothing about marketing. I can't edit videos, have no special skill or passion, and I don't even want anyone to know I'm secretly trying to make money. Can I still do it? If you don't know, then learn, but learn from the right teacher. Just like Guo Jing in the martial arts novels. He was a fool at first, but when he learned from the legendary master Hong Qi Gong, he became a true martial arts hero. The master you choose must have the results you want, and more importantly, you must be able to understand what they teach. Now, what exactly is good debt, and how do you make money from it? Listen closely. There's an airline that started with just $1 million in capital. For some, that's a lot of money, but I had that much by age 23. And yet that airline now owns billions in assets. How? With just $1 million, you can't even buy a plane, but they leveraged the power of society to raise $30 to $40 million, just enough to buy one aircraft. Instead of paying up front, they went to the bank, placed a 50% down payment, and bought 2 planes, financing the rest. Of course, the bank agreed. This is like a mortgage. If they default, the bank just repossesses and sells the planes. So now with money for just 1 plane, they got 2. Sounds clever. It gets better. They went back to investors and banks and said, our planes are flying every day, always full. Each plane brings in at least $60,000 per day. In 3 years, we'll make $60 to $70 million. Then they offered a deal. You investors will get all our profits for the next 3 years. Just give us $50 million now. In 3 years, you'll get back $60 to $70 million. Would you invest? Spend $50 million now to earn $10 to $20 million more in 3 years? Many said yes. Why? Because it seemed safe and stable. With that $50 million in hand, they went back to the bank, borrowed even more, and repeated the process. Eventually, they bought 200 aircraft. They sold off all profits for 3 years but kept the assets forever. That's how capitalism works. First, borrow to buy assets, then sell future profits to banks or investors, but the assets always remain yours. They use business cash flow to slowly pay off the loans. And remember, the longer the loan term, the better, because monthly payments are smaller and cash flow remains strong. After 3 years, all profits from those 200 planes go back to the company. Debt burden dramatically reduced. Let me share another example. Once I visited a beautiful tourist spot. A friend there invited me to co-invest in a hotel. Let's say I invest $2 million. The hotel generates at least $600,000 in profit annually. I then find an investor or a small fund to buy the next 4 years of profit for $2 million. That's $2.4 million in future earnings. But I only sell it for $2 million. So yes, I give up $400,000 in profit, but I instantly recover my capital. Then I use that $2 million to build a second hotel and sell off its future profit too. Repeat this cycle. Eventually, from the money of one hotel, I build 10. After 4 years, all profits belong to me again. The debt was good debt because others helped me pay it back. I've used this method many times. Back then, I had about $1 million. One house cost $1 million. But instead of buying one house outright, I used $500,000 as down payment and borrowed the rest to buy two houses. Used one home's money to get two. Worried I'd go broke? That I'd lose the houses? Only if I couldn't repay the loans. But why wouldn't I? Because I feared losing my job. A recession? Number, because I planned to rent out the homes, let tenants pay the mortgage. Who truly owns real estate today? Those who rent it out. My two houses? The monthly rent covers all loan payments. Later, when property value doubled, did I sell? Number, I just refinanced. Before, I could borrow $500,000 per house. Now each house is worth $2 million. I can borrow even more. I use the extra cash to buy another 1 to 2 smaller properties. Repeat this cycle. Buy under personal name, family name, company name in different countries. People say, with that much leverage, if prices drop, you'll go bankrupt. But here's the truth. I never intended to sell. Others buy low and sell high. I don't. If my house value doubled, then dropped 10%, do I care? Not really, because I only lost a portion of the gains. The asset still exists, and my tenants are still paying down the debt. The bank never urges me to repay early, because I always pay on time. Even now, I still receive dozens of calls a day from banks asking if I want to take out another loan. Some people may worry, but aren't interest rates going up? Won't that increase my monthly repayments? Actually, you can look up rental prices in your area. Rents have been rising steadily. My rental income now exceeds the amount I pay the bank every month. I've said this many times. The longer your mortgage term, the smaller the monthly payments. And remember, part of those payments go toward the principal, which is still your money. When you sell the house, you'll get it back. If you're confused, watch my earlier videos. So what does a slowdown in property prices mean for me? It just means it's harder to borrow money to buy more property, since banks are more cautious with lending when asset prices aren't rising. But in reality, it hasn't affected my real estate investment plans at all. My business still generates stable income, so market fluctuations don't impact me. Some people complain, for years I haven't been able to save enough for a down payment. Let me say it again. In this era, the simplest and most effective way to change your life is to start an online business. If you can't even do that, then tell me, what better opportunity is there? Even billionaires are online. People with less education than you are making money online. Monks share Buddhist teachings online and earn money. Feng Shui masters go online to share their knowledge and get paid. Kids sing, dance, play games, review toys. Even people who act silly or tell jokes can make money. Everything can become content. And if you still can't save up for a down payment, then the solution remains the same. Borrow. Borrow from your parents, your friends, or even co-invest with someone else. Sign a contract. Later, split the profits based on how much each person contributed. That's why people say, your network is your net worth. But ordinary people can't play this game. Why? Because without collateral, banks won't lend to you. Your only option is to raise funds from investors. But sadly, most people around you can't even lend you $10,000. Even if someone is willing, it's usually only in emergencies, like for medical treatment. If you say you want to borrow money to invest, they'll immediately assume you're trying to scam them. That's why I only associate with people who are good for business and making money. Anyone who only wants to drink, party, and waste time, I slowly distance myself from them. The internet is the best place to connect with high-level people. Relationships are like credit cards. If you don't use them, they're not really a resource. Let's say your credit card limit is $100,000, but you want to buy something that costs $200,000. If you suddenly call the bank and ask for a higher limit, they'll say no, unless you already have $1 million in the account. Why? Because you've never used the card much before. Suddenly, wanting to double your limit is high risk for the bank. What I usually do is I use my credit card for daily transactions and always pay on time. After 6 to 12 months, I request a higher limit. As my limit increases, the bank automatically upgrades my card to platinum or even black card level. Relationships work the same way. I often ask friends for help, send gifts, even when I don't need anything. If I have a project that needs investment, I still borrow from friends just to see how much they're willing to lend. Since I always repay on time, my credibility keeps growing. Ask yourself, what is your credit worth? Try borrowing money from friends. See how much they're willing to lend you. That number is your credit value. Credit must be nurtured. I maintain relationships with friends and investors, so whenever an opportunity comes up, I'll have the money ready to seize it. I also take care of my credit score with the bank, so I get very low interest rates. Sometimes I don't even have to pay interest. That's good debt. So what's bad debt? Bad debt is how most people think about borrowing, like taking out a loan to buy a designer bag for your girlfriend. Not only do you go into debt, but you're paying for someone else's luxury. I know many people trapped in a cycle of bad debt and suffering because of it. I understand how that feels. If you're truly unable to repay your debt, then listen carefully to these 6 principles. They might help you recover and even convince investors and lenders to keep supporting you. More importantly, I hope you never see debt as something so serious that it makes you think of ending your life. Remember this. 1. Don't run away. Running away is the stupidest thing you can do. Why? Because they will find you. And once they do, your reputation will be destroyed. No one else will lend to you again. 2. Don't cut off contact. If lenders call, pick up the phone. If they want to meet, go see them. On holidays, send them greetings, genuine ones. Don't make them resort to harsh tactics. That only happens when they're pushed to the limit, so don't test their patience. Just doing this puts you on the right path. 3. Don't let them lose faith in you. Let them see that you're not hiding. Let them see your assets, know what you're doing. Even if you have nothing left to sell or pawn, at least show them you're trying to change. If they push you too hard and you have nothing left, they lose everything too. 4. Take responsibility. I won't make excuses, lie, or delay. I have one goal only: work hard to repay the debt. What does working hard mean? It means no breaks, no wasteful spending, no new clothes, and still paying back a little bit every month. 5. Be proactive. Most people in debt hide and disappear. That's foolish. It backs you into a corner. But we're people of integrity. You can owe someone money but not your honor. If you're in debt, you must take the initiative. Let them know how much you owe, what you're doing to earn money, what your plans are. This gives them confidence. The people who lent you money did so because they believed in you. They care about you. If you turn even them into enemies, then you truly deserve the consequences. 6. Seek opportunities. If you find a good investment opportunity, you can still rely on your credibility to borrow more money from your lender. Why? Because if they help you recover, they not only get their money back, they might earn a return. If they refuse to help, they risk losing everything. So never put yourself in a position where no one is willing to help you. If you fall into a dead end, can you really climb back out on your own? You will still need help. Now you understand, don't you? Due to time constraints, I'll stop here. We share this knowledge for free to help you become wealthy, become an entrepreneur, an investor, and gain financial freedom. If you don't want to miss out, follow our channel, turn on notifications, and share this video. If even one or two lines from this video helped improve your life, then I'm already fulfilled.